Yesterday, we have started to explore the intention of renunciation. The first paragraph describes that the Buddha's teaching is contrary to our way. The way of the world is the way of desire. And when we follow this way, we seek fulfillment by pursuing the objects in which we imagine we find fulfillment. But the Buddha's message is the opposite. The pull of desire is to be resisted and eventually abandoned. Desire is to be abandoned, not because it is morally evil, but because it is a root of suffering. This is applicable to most of our desires, as long as it's not the desire to kill people or the desire to rob a bank. Then most of our desire, it is not morally evil, but it is a root of suffering. Okay, the second paragraph says that the degree to which a person renounces depends on the disposition and the situation. So not everyone has to live our household life and become a monastic. And then the third paragraph, it covers that when we know it's something good to do, but when we tried it, there is a powerful resistance. It's not so easy to relinquish what we have hold on to for so long. So that is the third paragraph. Then the fourth paragraph starts to explore how then can we break the shackles of desire. Firstly, the method of repression is not recommended. So firstly, let's define what's repression. Here it says the attempt to drive desire away with a mind full of fear and loathing. So on the dictionary definition, firstly, the action of subduing someone or something by force. So another definition, the restraint, prevention, or inhibition of a feeling quality. The third definition, the action or process of suppressing a thought or desire in oneself so that it remains unconscious. So we are just putting it below the surface, but it's still there. So that's why this method is not the solution that the Buddha offers. What the Buddha tells us to do is to use understanding instead. So real renunciation is not of forcing ourselves to give it up, but change our perspective, change our view, that then they will no longer bind us. So today we will explore deeper how exactly we should investigate and understand the problems with desire. Okay. So I will start to read the first paragraph for today. To understand desire in such a way that we can loosen its hold, we need to see that desire is invariably bound up with dukkha. The whole phenomenon of desire, with its cycle of wanting and gratification, hangs on our way of seeing things. We remain in bondage to desire because we see it as our means to happiness. If we can look at desire from a different angle, its force will be abated, resulting in the move towards renunciation. What is needed to alter perception is something called wise consideration, yoniso manasikara. Just as perception influences thought, so thought can influence perception. Our usual perceptions are tinged with unwise consideration. Ayoniso manasikara We ordinarily look only at the surfaces of things, scan them in terms of our immediate interests and wants. Only rarely do we dig into the roots of our involvements or explore their long-range consequences. To set this straight calls for wise consideration, looking into the hidden undertones to our actions, exploring their results, evaluating the worthiness of our goals. In this investigation, our concern must not be with what is pleasant, but with what is true. We have to be prepared and willing to discover what is true, even at the cost of our comfort. For real security always lies on the side of truth, not on the side of comfort. Okay, this paragraph is, I think, might not be that easy to understand on the first read. So maybe let's stop and firstly, let's define some words. Any big words over here? Firstly, abate, I think. So, of something unpleasant or severe, become less intense or widespread. The synonym, subside, lessen. Make something less intense. In the law, in the context of law, is to reduce or remove a nuisance. And secondly, just now I saw tinge. Ting. So I think it's the second definition. Tinge. Color slightly. Permeate or imbue slightly with a feeling or quality. So that is tinge. So our usual possessions are tinged with unwise consideration. Okay, any other big words? Okay, how about question or comments? Can you guys understand this paragraph? Okay, if there's no comments, maybe we continue first. How about Sister I Kim? Would you like to read? You're muted.
When desire is scrutinized closely, we find that it is constantly shadowed by dukkha. Sometimes dukkha appears as pain or irritation. Often it lies low as a constant strain of discontent. But the two, desire and dukkha, are inseparable and concomitants. We can confirm this for ourselves by considering the whole cycle of desire. At the moment desire springs up, it creates in us a sense of lack, the pain of want. To end this pain, we struggle to fulfill the desire. If our effort fails, we experience frustration, disappointment, sometimes despair. But the pleasure of success is not unqualified. We worry that we might lose the ground we have gained. We feel driven to secure our position, to safeguard our territory, to gain more, to rise higher, to establish tighter controls. The demands of desire seem endless, and each desire demands the eternal. It wants the things we get to last longer, forever. But all the objects of desire are impermanent, whether it be wealth, power, position, or other persons. Separation is inevitable, and the pain that accompanies separation is proportional to the force of attachment. Strong attachment brings much suffering. Little attachment brings little suffering. No attachment brings no suffering. Thank you.
Thanks, Akim. Yeah, so I think this paragraph explains really well on the whole cycle of desire and why is it bound up with suffering instead of giving us happiness. I mean, it does give us happiness, but there are drawbacks afterwards. So, firstly, this line, Shifu helps me illuminate this one. When Shifu pointed this out, I was like, oh, that's true. So, for example, let's say when the desire of I want to eat fried rice for lunch later, there is already this desire, and if you recall the first noble truth, I haven't gotten what I want. So not getting what one wants is suffering. So having this desire, when it already springs up, when I haven't gotten that thing, it is already a gap between what I want and what I haven't got. So this gap will make me suffer just because the desire springs up. So this line describes perfectly. At the moment desire springs up, it creates in us a sense of lack, the pain of want. Yeah. I feel like this is really subtle, but quite interesting to know. And okay, Saikyang raised her hand, but firstly, let me define concomitance. Concomitance. Concomitant. A phenomenon that naturally accompanies or follows something. So desire and dukkha, so are inseparable concomitants. They are tied together. Okay, second.
Yeah, Marcel, just now you're saying about that desire springs up, right? Then there's this one and then there's this gap. So can you move up to the first paragraph?
Okay.
Where it says that we have to have wise consideration.
Yes.
So in this case, what different angle can we look at to lessen our desire and move towards, not wanting? That means in your case, if let's say you said suddenly the thought of having lunch comes, and then you have this strong desire that, oh, I want the fried rice, So, in the aspect of wise consideration, how can we then cultivate?
Okay. I think some of it are explained here. Okay. It explains briefly here. Firstly, I only look at the surface of fried rice. Yes, it gives me taste. It gives me a good taste. That's why I desire it in the first place. But I haven't looked at beyond what he has the fried rice has given me. So
that means if we have wise consideration, then we should consider taking food as not the pleasure. That means we should change our mindset to tell ourselves that, oh, taking food is, just to keep our body alive. Maybe in that way, then we are able to, reduce that desire.
yes. So the problem with food is pretty tricky because it serves two purposes for most people, at least. Firstly, we need food to survive. That's undeniable. Secondly, most of the time, we also seek pleasure in food. So if we can only focus on the first purpose mainly just for solving hunger and to make sure that we can live and survive, that we don't starve to death. That is the first purpose. So the second purpose is sometimes, okay, when we find food, we might as well find pleasure in it. So that is the tricky thing about food is it can have two motivation behind. Yeah. So when we eat mindfully, which is what usually the monastics or the enlightened ones do, that is what I feel the ideal way. But when we eat for pleasure, it is not so ideal because of all this cycle of desire. And after I finish eating the fried rice, the desire will spring up again in the future. Yeah, that's another way.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe let me just share my personal experience. To those of you who have attended a Heart Sutra, might be familiar with this, with the laksa example. In my case, I really love ramen. I really love to eat ramen. So I always go to this specific ramen stall. So whenever I want a ramen, this suffering already arises in me, the pain of want. So to fulfill it, I actually travel 30 minutes all the way to the ramen stall in Tanjung Pagar. Yeah. So to end this pain of mine, I went all the way 30 minutes to Tanjung Pagar. Sometimes I went it at the last minute. So if our effort fails, sometimes when I reach there, the shop is closed. So I was like, oh no, I traveled all the way and then I did not get what I want. So frustration, disappointment, and sometimes despair. But even when I get it, so this line mentioned, even the pleasure of success is not unqualified. So this one is, when I read this multiple times, I thought this is like a typo. Shouldn't it be unqualified? But when I check the definition, it is actually fit in quite well. So we should use the second definition here. Unqualified means without reservation or limitation, total. The sentence here, the experiment was not an unqualified success. So if we substitute it with the synonyms, unconditional. Yeah. So if we substitute it is to with unconditional, it can probably helps us understand. But even the pleasure of success is not unqualified, it's not unconditional. So when I have gotten the ramen, I want the taste of ramen to last forever. I want to secure the position, to safeguard the territory, to gain more, to rise higher, to establish tighter control. So yeah. And I always want the ramen forever. The demands of desire seems endless and eternal. Yeah. But someday, I know the ramen shop will not open 24 hours. So the objects of desire are impermanent. And then someday when the ramen shop finally closed, I will suffer because I would never be able to get what I want. And this line especially, I think it relates better with money. For me, when I was young, feels like $1 is already a lot. $1, $5, $10 is a lot of money. But as we get older and older, I feel like money is never enough. $100 feels like not so much anymore as we gotten older and older. $500, $1,000. So when is enough? So the demands of desire seems endless, and each desire demands the eternal, and we want our money to never deplete in our bank account. That's why we all keep working. And the last line is, I think, is also described pretty well. The pain that accompanies separation is proportional to the force of attachment. Strong attachment brings much suffering. Little attachment brings little suffering. No attachment brings no suffering. And from a personal experience, the most painful one that I feel recently is actually 2 to 3 years ago when I had a breakup with my girlfriend. Oh, I can tell you that was the most painful period of my life, one of the most. So, but I think most of you has passed through that period. So this is something that young people experience. Okay, I have shared a little bit too much. Okay, didn't I?
Yeah, Marcel. When we define the word, where is it? Unqualified here.
Yes.
And you were saying that you think, related to your experience, you think it is because you want the taste to last forever. But I think, that part of lasting forever, it is down here. It is down here where the seems endless, something, yeah.
Yes.
But over here, when we understand the word unqualified as unconditional. So I think what it means here is that even when you get what you want, it is not necessarily is of the same quality all the time, because it is unconditional. So it means that, like, yes, you are there, you are at the shop, they serve you, but then for some reason, that shop today, it doesn't serve the same kind of quality that you are wishing.
Yes.
Or when they bring the plate out to you and then you find a fly in it, for example.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think the word unqualified here, because it is conditioned, right?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I did not share this, but I have been to this shop many times, maybe more than 10 times. And not every time it tastes the same, although most of the time it does. But there are occasions when the chefs are different, the maker of the noodles are different. And one day, actually, it is exactly what Lin Toy mentioned, or very similar. Like, after eating halfway, I saw a mosquito inside the soup. And there are still some ramen left inside. So I was contemplating whether I should continue or not. In the end, I decided to scoop out the mosquito, put it aside, and decided to continue the ramen. But after knowing that there is a mosquito inside, the ramen doesn't taste as good anymore. So this is like exactly the emptiness example in the Heart Sutra class. I experienced it firsthand. Yeah. So I finished the ramen. It's not as nice as the first half. And then in the end, I decided to tell them about this mosquito, the stall, the waiter. And well, at least they let me have the ramen for free. So I did not pay for it. Well, okay, thanks Lin Toy for bringing this up. Yes, it's very true. So that is my experience, that is my story. How about you guys? Any of you have similar experiences that you would like to share? Okay, Xing Hui, yes.
Yeah, just now with regards to the discussion about food. So then, if you are thinking about having food just for maintaining your health, then would we then supposed to think deeper about what kind of food then is more nutritious, rather than like you mentioned, fried rice. Yeah, so maybe it's a lot of carbohydrates, maybe not so much vegetable. So then would you think about, maybe it's not as nutritious, maybe I should eat more salad or something like that. Yeah, so does that it actually trigger more thinking, and would that then be wise consideration? I'm not sure. Yeah, and the second paragraph about desire. So I'm also wondering, how about when we kind of like set a goal? So it is like what we want to achieve, right? So then that is also a form of desire that we want to attain certain thing. So then what, thinking about wise consideration, then would we have to think, like as mentioned, deeper, why we really want to achieve it, and what is the purpose, what is the consequence, to determine whether it is something that we should work towards to. Yeah. Then does it create more wanting? I'm a bit confused. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's a very good question. Maybe firstly, let's explore the first one, which is like having salad instead of more unnutritious food like fried food or snacks or junk food. So, well, for me, I think it's still better to have salads because, like you mentioned, it will maintain our body in a better shape, a healthier kind of food. But does it create more thinking? Maybe it does, but as I mentioned, food is always tricky because some people also eat salad or all this healthy food because they want to look good, they want to look beautiful, they want to slim down. Yeah, this is also something that probably not the purpose of, not accords with the purpose of Buddhism, because eating for beauty, at least for the monastics, is like not something that we should take our food for. Yes, so you can contemplate it if you want, but the ideal way is always just to eat whatever we have, whether healthy or not healthy, because in the context of monastic, they eat whatever they are given. So whether healthy or not healthy, they don't really consider it that much. Yeah. I think the gauge is that they don't eat too much and it doesn't affect their practice. That's probably good enough for them. Yeah. So that's a good question. So secondly, I think your question was whether when we set goals, how should we think about in terms of this consideration? Is that your question? Yeah. So for me, I think this can be applied to everything, all our goals actually. For example, let's say, do you have any specific example that you would like to explore? Let's say money or house, or do you have? Yeah.
Let's say about meditation.
Meditation.
Yesterday, because you also was wondering, do we then meditate correctly? How then do we attain I don't know, whatever jhana, kind of thing. Yeah, maybe that is a goal that we want to set. Yeah.
Okay. This is a good question. Okay, firstly, maybe let's just explore the worldly side very quickly, because it's pretty easy to apply this in the worldly. Let's say, for example, we want to target to buy a house. See, when we finally get a house, we will firstly all the effort to get the house is already the pain of one, which is this sentence here. You know, we accumulated 5 years, 10 years, and then all these 10 years are all suffering, the pain of one, sense of lack. And then when we finally, if we don't get the house, we will be frustrated, we will be disappointed. But even after we get the house, we worry that we might lose ground that we have gained. We worry that this house is being robbed, so we lock our house, we lock the door. And then we worry that someone do something fishy inside, so we install CCTV. So we feel driven to secure our position, establish tighter controls. We feel the need to maintain the house in a very clean shape, in a neat shape, maintain all the tools or all the plumbing. And then we want our house to last forever. So that's why a lot of people are unhappy with the 99 years lease of HDB. They all complain, oh, we are actually renting for 99 years. You know, we want our house forever, even though we don't live forever. We want it forever. 99 years, not too short. So, and then we realize that the object of a house are impermanent. And when this gap happens, what we want to be permanent, and when the object becomes impermanent, then that's where the suffering comes from. Now let's explore the example of what Xing Hui mentioned, meditation. So interestingly, Venerable Ananda asked this question to the Buddha. Like, if the goal of the, Buddhism, if the goal of the path is eventually to abandon desire, then isn't the desire of attaining enlightenment is also a desire? Then isn't it become a cycle, you know? We want to attain enlightenment, but we have to abandon the desire. Then how can this be possibly resolved? So the answer was, the Buddha said, I paraphrase it. Yeah. So this is, Venerable Ananda, this is the only desire that is worthy to have. This is the only desire when we have reached at the destination, the desire will automatically resolve itself. So for example, let's say we want to get to a certain place. For example, your current room right now. When you walk in, when you want to walk in your room, you have that desire. But when you reach that room, do you still have that desire? Yeah, I think most people would already abandon that desire. So in the same way, in this path, when we have reached our goal, the desire will be automatically resolved, abandoned as well. Okay, Xing Hui, does that answer your question? Okay, I can look for that sutta for you, the Venerable Ananda's question. I think it's beautiful. It's the one that Shifu told me as well. So I think 2 paragraphs is enough for today. Next, tomorrow we can continue with another 2 paragraphs to conclude this session. So any question or comments? Anyone wants to add up to Xing Hui's question or follow up or maybe help to answer as well? Tammy, yes.
I'm actually following up to Sai Tiang's question and Xing Hui's question about the food. To me, actually, the food is, there's nothing wrong to want to eat. To me, I feel like nothing wrong, I want to eat. But to me is, I'm aware that I'm craving for this food. The awareness is important. Just like you have mentioned about the ramen. At last minute, I wanted to go to this restaurant for the ramen. But when I'm there, I'm craving, that's why I'm going. But once I'm there, I knew that the shop is closed. So, you know, at that point of time, you could be like, closed. The urge of eating is not able to satisfy. Definitely, you will feel unhappy, angry. So as long as I'm aware that this feeling is there, maybe if we look at the food, then it will be that when it's closed, oh, it's closed. I'm not attached to that. I didn't get to eat. Then the anger will get up. So I think wanting to eat good food, drinking matcha latte is nothing wrong. But the awareness of not getting it, I didn't bring me anger. That's the important thing. So it's like when going there, I don't have ramen. Okay, never mind. I go and eat tempura. That's fine. So like what Xing Hui also mentioned, eating junk food or eating salad, they are just food. But it's your choice of getting what you want to eat. Is it satisfied? If it's not satisfied, I'm not angry. If it's satisfied, I knew I'm happy. And when I get out of the restaurant, it doesn't linger me like, wow, so good, so good, so good. Even I reach home, it's still so good kind of thing. So once I get out the satisfaction, and I'm home, on the way home already. So things doesn't linger there. So this is my thoughts. So even when I'm there, I get very angry, but I investigate the angry. Like, I know I'm angry, lor. Yeah. Then doing the investigation of the anger there, then you can just move on already, lor. Like, you don't want this angry, then next time don't go last minute, lor. That kind of thing. So that's my thought, lah.
Yes.
And about setting goals, to me is nothing wrong to set any kind of goals. Like, even I want to earn a lot of money, I want to buy a house, it's nothing wrong, because money is not fault. House is not at fault also. It's your desire and your attachment to it. So along the way, if you think it didn't meet, then we change our plan, change our direction, and we move on again. So the goal is something that is nothing wrong to set, because without setting a goal, it's like quite difficult to move on in life. So, but you can change your direction and your path along the way. So to me, that's the thoughts.
Yes, thanks, Tammy, for sharing. Well, at least the first one, when you mentioned that after we get angry and then try to contemplate and dissipates the anger. Yes, that is actually what I usually do when I was upset. Afterwards, I investigate why was I upset, and then when I finally scrutinize and investigate, it actually does dissipate my anger eventually, and it does subsides. Yes, so that is a good thing to do, but this is more like an aftermath analysis. Then I also thought, is there a way not to even get angry at all? Is there a way to this anger and this upsetness not even arise at all? But to me, I think that is the most highest level of the path, to not even get upset and angry at all. I think this is only
So
what
even you have the awareness already, knowing that when you are there, you get or you don't get, it doesn't matter. So will that actually help you of not getting the anger getting up?
possibly, but there is also the fact that I already want that thing.
The desire is there.
Yeah, even though there is this awareness, I think it is inevitable that I would get disappointed, even though it might not be as much because I already have this awareness. Yeah. So it does help, but it does not remove completely, I think.
Yeah, because the desire is there.
Yes.
The attachment is there.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing, Tam. Okay, anyone else would like to share? Since this is Saturday, probably everyone have more time. Second, okay.
Yeah, I agree with Sister Tammy. I think she's at a higher level than most people are. Yeah, because she's aware, that means she can look at the situation and look at the conditions. But a lot of us, like what Marcel said, is afterwards. Like in the beginning, you meet up with a situation, a person you don't like, or an object that you desire a lot. The first reaction without cultivation is to just respond. To just respond to your, desire, to your emotions. Yeah. So from my experience is I try to like shorten the gap. That means not wait until 1 hour later, then I realize that I did something wrong, or my desire, I'm not able to control my anger, So I try to bring this gap shorter and shorter. But how to until one day, that means even right at the moment when the situation arises, when people scold you, you're stupid, idiot, that kind of harsh words and all that, are you still able to, like what it says, have wise consideration, that words is just words? I'm just the 5 aggregates. What am I there's no cell, that kind of thing. It needs a lot of practice, I think, to reach that stage. And I believe that's what we are all cultivating towards, that final goal, that we can really see things as they really are and not get upset, not get attached, because the last line says, so good, right? I mean, when there's no attachment, there's no suffering. So I think we're all working towards that, right? No craving, no suffering. And that is Nibbana. So I remember Shifu did tell us that Nibbana is not something that you want to attain. It's not something you can attain, but rather, if you are able to just see things as they really are, then you're just at Nibbana. There's no more suffering, even when the condition arises. Yeah, that's my sharing. Thank you.
I completely agree with Saikya. So, yeah, to not get upset at the moment, like Saikya mentioned, is probably only the enlightened ones can do. Like whatever words we hold at the Buddha, well, I don't think the Buddha will suffer, or any of the Arahants for that matter, because they have practiced so well that all this does not affect them. Even when the Devadatta tried to kill him, it's also he will just stay calm and does not let it affect him. Okay, thanks Saikyang for sharing. Well, I have keep sharing the example of food, but maybe I share something else not related to food. So, any of you love to watch movies here? Any of you? Movies? No? No one? So only me. Okay. So this is probably a little bit embarrassing, but I do love watch movies. And the recent movies that come out is called Dune. Have you heard of it? Dune. D-U-N-E. Okay, no one heard of it. So it's a sci-fi movie, in short. And I love it so much. I have watched it 4 times in the cinema, in the theater. Yeah. Twice in normal cinema, another 2 times in a cinema called IMAX. So IMAX is I feel like the most ultimate cinema, where the screen is much bigger and the sound is much more bombastic. And I actually plan to watch 2 more times in IMAX. But when I check the schedule again, it's not showing anymore in IMAX. Then I felt so disappointed and I felt so frustrated that, oh no, I don't get to experience this movie anymore in the biggest, largest theater ever. So that is also another one of my desire that don't get fulfilled. And when it's not getting fulfilled and I know I cannot get it anymore, I experience frustration, disappointment. And another angle, even though it gets fulfilled, it actually fuels my demand. I want to watch it more and more again, experience it again and again. I want it to last forever. I want the eternal. Yeah. So in my experience, I explore both sides of this desire. Yeah, I experience firsthand the drawbacks of both sides, of getting what I want and also of not getting what I want. Yeah, so that's the last thing I can share today. Okay, I hope you are entertained with my story and my experience. Anyone else?
Yeah. I just add something, because chasing after Korean drama is a past already, but previously I used to just keep watching, those Korean drama. Can be late up at night, you just carry on watching and never feel tired. You just want to finish the episode. Then after the episode, because you want to find out actually what happened after that. So,
they put on a cliffhanger, makes you curious.
Yeah, so you just carry on to the next episode. And then it was like 2, 3 a.m. already. You don't realize it, you just keep want to fulfill your desire. So you just keep watching and watching. And then you get frustrated when your mom comes and knock at the door and say, hey, what's time already? Tomorrow you have to work, So I think, yeah, I think what the Buddha said is so true, right? I mean, we are also caught up with our own desires. And unless we can step back and look at it, I mean, now it's the past already. So when I'm at your age, probably we have different desires at different age, Yeah, so I can understand, Yeah, so what I want to share is we have our own desire. We have to overcome our own desire, in different stages of life. And until we really, really, like what the Buddha said, able to see as it really is, then we can really, not be attached and don't suffer anymore.
Okay, thanks for sharing, Second. You make me not feel so lonely anymore. We have similar experiences. Actually, I'm curious because we are of different range of age. So what kind of desire that still kind of dominates or, like, let's say, bonds you at your age probably? Or you don't have any desire anymore?
You mean now?
Yeah.
Yeah. My greatest desire is to have COVID go away,
Yes.
so that I can travel abroad. Previously, before the lockdown, I used to travel overseas, and so my desire to look at beautiful sceneries, to look at life of people in other countries, that to take nice pictures, shows my friends and all that. That is one of the strong desires still deep inside, and hopefully COVID can go away so that we can all travel again. I don't know about the others.
Yeah, I think this is the desire that most of us share. Especially for us foreigners, like me and Nintoy, we haven't seen our family for 2 years plus. Yeah, so I can relate to this one. And actually, I think this can be applied to many things, and I encourage you to do so as well. In your day-to-day life, try to contemplate your desire and its drawbacks and what is the solution, For me, because I'm in the tech industry, I always desire the latest phone, the latest and greatest. So I always keep it up to date to what is the latest gadget. iPhone Max 13 Pro, something like that. Google Pixel 6 Pro, Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, the Kindle Signature Edition, Dell XPS, all this latest stuff I always keep track. And I always want to get it. So, like Saki mentioned, everyone has different desire. So try to explore your desire and then see. Maybe you can share your experience also. Afterwards. Okay, thanks everyone for participating. Tammy, Singhui, Saikyang, and the rest for listening to us. So, anything else before we wrap up? Okay, if not, let's do dedication. Dedication of merits. Please recite together with me. 愿消三障诸烦恼，愿得智慧真明了。普愿罪障悉消除，实是常行菩萨道。阿弥陀佛。Till we meet again, may we be guided by the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thanks everyone for participating. I'll see you again next time. Have a desireless day ahead.
Thank you, Marcel.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Tonight there's a Bhikkhu Bodhi's
No,
Dharma.
tonight is on break. It's we will continue next Saturday.
Okay.
I wanted to announce it last Saturday, but I forgot.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.